I don't know what's going on with those folks over there. He's over the top. That was the worst match I've ever seen, and frankly, I'm ashamed to have even watched it. He's passionate. I'm going to tell you how I feel about the sport that I love, and that's the end of that chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rundown with your host, Duke Loves Wrestling. My, folks, I'll tell you, when I hear that guitar and I hear those drums, and that opening, you know that it's time to get down to business here. I am your host, Duke, and I love wrestling.
Yay!
Boy, do we have a show for you this evening. Monday Night Raw just wrapped up about 2 minutes ago, and we're going to talk about all of the action that has occurred there, in relation to the Extreme Rules pay-per-view and how all that stuff ties in. We're going to get to that. Later on in the show, I'm also going to give you an update on what's been going on with the entire Duke Loves Wrestling brand, in terms of social media and response by the fans. We got some exciting news here, folks.
I got mushrooms.
And we'll touch upon a few other little things that we've been discussing for the past number of weeks. So, first and foremost, let's just jump right into the big stuff here. We're talking about WWE Raw. Oh my goodness. Folks, if you head over to medium.com and you type in Duke Loves Wrestling, you'll get to see my Extreme Rules review, which that's been getting tremendous response. And folks are really digging my thoughts on that pay-per-view. But let me tell you something. That pay-per-view was the absolute best in all of 2016 put out by the WWE, and that includes WrestleMania.
Good morning. This is your wake-up call.
Extreme Rules was much better than WrestleMania in every single way. So, with such a fantastic pay-per-view card, that leads us in to a very good Monday Night Raw. And, we started this evening out with Seth Rollins. Now, for those folks who have been living under a rock and not paying attention to what's going on in the world of pro wrestling, Seth Rollins came out and attacked Roman Reigns to conclude the Extreme Rules pay-per-view on Sunday. So on this edition of Monday Night Raw this evening, Rollins opened the show and discussed why he came back. He ran down the fans. He talked about how he's going to bust Roman Reigns up, all that good stuff there, which was fantastic. Shane McMahon comes out and announces that at the next pay-per-view, which is going to be Money in the Bank, it'll be Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. Folks, what more could you ask for here? Seth Rollins was down and out for nearly a year after injuring his knee. I believe it was an ACL and MCL tear. And at the time, he was WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So he was stripped of the title because he could not compete. And that is how you get this piece of garbage, eventually, Roman Reigns, as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. It's ridiculous, but this is where we're at. Okay? So now it's time for Seth Rollins to come back and assume what's rightfully is, and that's the top of the mountain, the WWE. Okay? So he's going to get that championship back. You mark my words, folks. It's going to happen. And Roman Reigns, too bad for you, Jack. I am sick and tired of you. Everyone has to make you strong. Make Roman strong, damn it. And there's enough of that going on here, pal. It's time for you to get knocked back down into reality. Jeez. So, as I said, we had Seth Rollins open. They set up that match for the next pay-per-view, so that's the big feud that's going to be going on. After that, they announced that there would be Money in the Bank qualifying matches going on for this edition of Raw. Now, this is cool. First match that was up was Sami Zayn versus the Ginger Mayonnaise, a.k.a. Sheamus. Pretty good back and forth match there. I have to give credit where credit is due. Sheamus has really stepped his game up. He is finally realizing his potential, and he's putting out some of the best wrestling of his career, literally within the past 6 months or so. Kudos to Sheamus for doing a much better job, because I got to tell you, there was a period there where he was literally the drizzling you-know-whats, okay? It rhymes with pits. Figure it out. But he's much better now, so I got to give credit where credit's due, like I said. Sami Zayn, on the other hand, my goodness, I encourage everybody to head over to the WWE Network and fast forward through Extreme Rules to that Intercontinental Championship match that pitted The Miz, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn against each other. Folks, it was a match of the year candidate, okay? It literally is a match that 20 years from now we'll still be talking about. Instant class. And Sami Zayn was a major reason for that. Any match that he is in, Sami Zayn is as I've stated in the past, he is as close to Daniel Bryan as we're going to get in terms of just a person that you can count on to deliver top-notch pro wrestling in the form of not only the physical aspect of it, but also in making fans give a damn about what's going on in the ring, the emotional aspect of it. Sami Zayn will deliver, okay? And that's about as big a compliment as I can pay to anybody, okay? So keep up the great work there, Sami. So we had Ginger versus Ginger, and it was a great back-and-forth match, but in the end, Sami Zayn is the one who came out victorious, which makes a lot of sense. Of course, we want to see Sami Zayn in the Money in the Bank tournament keep going on. Hopefully, he'll even be in the finals, because that would be pretty fantastic. Can you imagine Sami Zayn winning the Money in the Bank briefcase and then being able to cash it in anytime he wants? Can you imagine Sami Zayn cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase? And let's just say, and I know I'm going off script here, but so what? This is my show. This is Duke Loves Wrestling. I'll do what I want. Let's say Seth Rollins beats Roman Reigns, okay?
Yay!
It's a back and forth barn burner of a match at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And then Sami Zayn's music hits because earlier in the night he won the Money in the Bank ladder match. His music hits, he comes out, he cashes in his Money in the Bank briefcase, and he pins Seth Rollins, and Sami Zayn becomes the World Heavyweight Champion. One can dream, right? Whew, I'll tell you, folks. But that's the type of endless possibilities that can go on when you have Money in the Bank and someone wins that briefcase. They can cash it in for a match versus whomever they want, whenever they want, for an entire year. It's a one-time shot. Well, you cash it in one time and that's it. But hey, a lot of folks who've cashed in have come out victorious as a World Heavyweight Champion, and I don't expect anything differently this go round. So great job, Sami, as far as qualifying. We'll see what happens with him in the upcoming weeks. Next up, we had the WWE World Tag Team Champions, the New Day. They came out and did their shtick, and you know we love New Day. New Day rocks, all that good stuff there. Big E with his big, ridiculous self gyrating and carrying on. I just can't get enough of this guy. Kofi Kingston, he is Kofi. Anything you give Kofi, he's going to do great because he's just the man. Okay, and then you have Xavier Woods, who really is turning out to be the MVP, not only of the New Day, but one of the MVPs of the roster. I mean, this guy is so talented. He's great on the mic. He comes up with these cool catchphrases like, I got to shoot my shot, which is what he said at the pay-per-view Extreme Rules, and the fans went nuts over it. And they could chant, shoot his shot, just really cool, really cool. But what's even more interesting is that Xavier Woods has really stepped up his game in terms of wrestling. I mean, he is turning into a very entertaining man in the ring. And that's a tremendous honor for him because he was always the weakest link in terms of wrestling. But not so much anymore. This guy, he's the real deal. So they came out with a big birthday cake. They were celebrating the 1200th episode of Monday Night Raw. For those who don't know, Monday Night Raw is the longest running continuous episodic television show in history. I mean, I think they double the Simpsons, you know what I mean, in terms of how many episodes there's been continuously there. So Monday Night Raw is a big deal, and New Day were out there to celebrate and honor. They had the cake and all that good stuff, but then they were attacked by the Social Outcasts. And as you remember, the Social Outcasts consist of Lee Dallas, Mr. Perfect's son, Curtis Axel, which is just the worst It's the worst name in professional wrestling. I mean, give me a break. Can you please just call this poor guy Kurt Hennig Jr. or just give him the Hennig name. Let him be Mr. Perfect and have him continue that on, please. My goodness. And also the other bum, what's his face there, Heath Slater. Heath Slater is an entertaining guy. I don't mean to call him a bum. I don't mean that. I reserve that label for people who actually earned it, such as that piece of garbage, Dean Ambrose. We'll get to him later. No, Heath Slater, he's entertaining. He's entertaining. So Social Outcasts took on the New Day. New Day beat the hell out of them, of course. It was a fun comedy match, all that good stuff there. And in the end, New Day ends up bashing Gator, Heath Slater, with the cake. You knew somebody was going to get hit with the cake, okay? You knew somebody was going to get hit with that cake. That's why the cake's out there. New Day even said it earlier that cakes don't survive in the ring. So you bring out a cake, somebody's going to get hit with the cake. And of course, it was Heath Slater. Now, New Day had threatened to hit others with the cake. In fact, they were seriously saying they were going to hit Byron Saxton with the cake. Now, let me stop for a second. This Byron Saxton guy. Okay, he's one of the newest commentators in WWE, and he's on the Monday Night Raw team, which is fantastic for him. But let me tell you something. They give Byron Saxton a hard time. Everyone gives Saxton a hard time. Here's a guy who was literally like the whipping boy of the WWE. Everyone threatens to beat him up. Everyone tells him to shut up. At one point, JBL said at Extreme Rules that Jimmy Hoffa is buried in the desert somewhere in New Jersey, and he wished Byron Saxton was out there with him. I mean, come on. That is just horrendous. Is Vince McMahon coming up with this stuff? I want you to talk about Byron Saxton, damn it. I mean, I don't understand it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous the way they pick on him. And I'll tell you another thing. The new guy, Mauro Ranallo, who's over there on SmackDown, no one would ever talk to Mauro like that because, Mauro hangs out with all those MMA guys. He'd bust you up. Okay, Mauro's pretty dangerous. But Saxton over there is the whipping boy. So Byron Saxton, I know you're listening to this show because this is the hottest show in pro wrestling today. Duke Loves Rasslin, The Rundown. I'm telling you right now, you better smarten up. You better toughen up. And if you got to pull a Joey Styles on that JBL and punch him in the face for being a jerk to you, then you need to do it, Saxton. Because I'm telling you right now, pal, you're letting them push you around, and you're coming out on the other end looking ridiculous. And it's just, I don't get it. Okay. At first it was kind of interesting. Now it's just kind of sad. And I'm not even mad at them. I'm mad at you for allowing it to happen. So smarten up, Byron Saxton. Seriously. Folks, as you know, the Duke loves. Duke loves wrestling. Duke loves food. And when I'm in the New York City area, Duke loves Barnyard Cheese. At Barnyard Cheese, I can get the best artisanal cheeses, soups, and award-winning sandwiches at an affordable price. Visit www.barnyardcheese.com. That's www.barnyardcheese.com for further information. Barnyard Cheese is located at 149 Avenue C, between 9th and 10th Street. Barnyard Cheese is the official cheese and sandwich shop for Duke Loves Wrestling. Enjoy. Okay, moving on. Cesaro versus Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. Although this was not a championship match, this was a Money in the Bank qualifier match. This was kind of a ridiculous match, if you ask me, in terms of putting it together. I don't really understand why Miz would be in a Money in the Bank qualifying match, considering the fact that he's Intercontinental Champion. We all know that The Miz is going to have to defend his belt at the pay-per-view, so he doesn't need to be in a Money in the Bank qualifier. I get that you can claim that The Miz, if he wins Money in the Bank, then he could cash in for a chance at the heavyweight championship. But come on, just don't insult our intelligence. We know that's not going to happen. So cut the crap. Cut the crap.
No, dear, that's wrong.
At Extreme Rules, Miz ended up winning the match. Fantastic, amazing A+ matchup. So on Raw, he was still the champion, Intercontinental Champion. Took on Cesaro. The crowd, surprisingly, was pretty dead for this match. I didn't really get it. I'm just going to flat out say the crowd was a piece of garbage because this was a very good match. And, Cesaro did his thing, and Miz, he just continues to prove that he is a future Hall of Famer. It doesn't matter how you feel about the guy. Everything you give him, he just makes it work, okay? He has a great character. He's solid in the ring, and when he's in there with guys who are known as solid mat technicians, such as Cesaro, the Miz can make them look like $100 because he can bump with the best of them. His facial expressions, the whole 9 yards. Miz is very solid. Cesaro ends up winning the match, which is to no surprise of anybody. The crowd barely gave any pops, which, that crowd can go to hell. I don't know. I forgot where they were, but actually they were in the Baltimore Royal Farms Arena in Baltimore. That was one of the worst crowds ever. But Cesaro wins the match. Congratulations to him. Cesaro moving on in the Money in the Bank qualifiers, that makes a lot of sense. Miz, we'll wait and see who he's going to be battling in the coming weeks. Next up, we had Chris Jericho, a.k.a. the Ayatollah of Rock and Roller, a.k.a. the guy who got thrown into a bed of thumbtacks the night before by that piece of pure garbage, Dean Ambrose. Chris Jericho takes on Apollo Crews. Now, look, folks, I got to tell you a couple of things. First and foremost, Chris Jericho going through thumbtacks at Extreme Rules was just disgusting. Made no sense to me, and it's just proof positive once again that Dean Ambrose is a one-trick pony. The only thing that Dean Ambrose can do is extreme matches, and because of that, you had to put a legend like Chris Jericho in that match where he went through thumbtacks, and it's just not something that we need to see. That match was one of the stinkers of the year. It was just a terrible match, and it wasn't because of Jericho. It was because Dean Ambrose is so limited in his abilities. Anyway, so Jericho shows up to this match with Apollo Crews on Raw looking like a human pincushion. I mean, he still had holes in him from those damn thumbtacks. Okay, that's great. Apollo Crews comes out, gets a general nice pop. He's smiling up his face. Okay, listen, Apollo Crews, hear me out here, son. I don't get it, okay? You don't have a gimmick. And I understand that you're trying to do what you're trying to do in order to develop a gimmick. But, dude, it's getting to the point now where it's embarrassing. You were Yahoo Nation on the Indies, and you were very good, okay? You had a lot of fanfare. Folks really were digging you. You come to the WWE, and all you've done is fallen short. And it's hard for me to say because I was one of the people who really, truly supported Apollo Crews not only coming to the WWE, being pushed to the top because it's like, hey, this guy could be the next black champion, which it may not mean something to some, but it means a whole lot to a lot of us out there who understand that there really isn't a lot of diversity in terms of who has held that WWE World Championship through history, okay? Look it up. So Apollo Crews is like, hey, this guy could be it. Well, guess what, Apollo Crews? You're terrible. I mean, literally, you were a piece of crap. You know what I mean? I felt like having almost like a Bill O'Reilly on a current affairs meltdown and say, just do it live. F it. Just do it live. I mean, because seriously, what were you doing out there? Apollo Crews botches so many times in the match. It is literally frustrating. It's like you want to pick up your TV and throw it out the window because you want it so bad for this guy to succeed. And yet this guy clearly, he either is not paying attention or maybe he's just not ready. So it really is disappointing, okay? And this match was no different. Apollo Crews, you look terrible in the ring. And to look terrible with a guy like Chris Jericho, I mean, Dean Ambrose was able to pull it off, but most people can't pull that off. But you did because you kept botching things. You weren't listening when Jericho was trying to lead you through the match. You wanted to do your next flippy move and all this garbage when you just needed to sell.
Hi, can I have a good order?
You hear what I'm saying to you, Apollo Crews? You have to learn how to sell. You're a babyface, okay? So get your butt kicked, look like a guy who is in agony and who's trying to dig down deep to come back so the fans can actually give a damn about what you're doing and who you are. And then you can get the big pop when you start getting some fire and the comeback and et cetera, et cetera. Why am I teaching you, Apollo Crews, how to be a proper character in the world of professional wrestling? You're the wrestler, not me. I don't know how to wrestle. I mean, hey, I'm the best analyst going today, but I'm not in the ring. I'm going to tell you right now, Apollo Crews, if you can't figure this out, then they just needed to drop you, buddy. And I hate to say that because, you know, there's so much about you that I had hoped would come through for the world to see so that they can get behind you and we can push you to the stars, but you're not living up to the hype, okay? You're a handsome guy, so I guess putting the mask on you wouldn't make sense, but it's like you do all the flippy move and the garbage and what have you. Maybe you need to be on a tag team with the veterans so you can kind of learn and develop your character just a little better, okay? In fact, maybe they should pair Apollo Crews with Titus O'Neil or someone like that and just put you in a position where the spotlight is not on you so you can kind of take a step back and settle down a little bit, share the load with somebody and learn something. Because right now, pal, I'm telling you, you're just a drizzling craps. And it's terrible. It hurts me to say that, but it's the truth. Terrible. The finish of the match was Jericho wins, so he moves on to the Money in the Bank tournament, which, congratulations to Chris Jericho. Anything he does is going to be entertaining one way or another, even when he's in the match with a guy who is just not listening and botching everything. Moving on. Big Cass comes out. He's about to have a match with Bubba Ray Dudley, a one-on-one match. And then, out of nowhere, guess who's back? Enzo Amore. Enzo Amore comes back. He was out with that concussion injury that he suffered at the previous pay-per-view. So he's back. He cuts his promo. He does his thing. The fans go nuts for him, et cetera, et cetera. Great to see Enzo. He even did a spot where he jumped on Devon outside of the ring, which was really cool. Big Cass ends up defeating Bubba Ray Dudley. Very nice. Look. Big Cass, I'm not overly impressed with him because he's a big guy, and I feel like he needs to be a little more serious in there, a little more fired up, and do a little bit more high-impact moves. And, Bubba Ray Dudley basically wrestled himself in there. It almost reminded me of when Big Show would take on Ryback. Big Show would throw himself around the ring, literally. He would basically wrestle himself just to try to make Ryback look good, because Ryback really couldn't do anything in the ring for a good period of time there. He's gotten much better in recent years, but, at the beginning there, he was pretty bad. And Big Cass is very similar to that. Big Cass there's just something about him and the way he's doing things that is just not necessarily connecting. And the only reason, and I'm going to tell you this, and I don't really care how big Cass is and how you fans take it, because he has almost a nice look and with all that good stuff. But look, the only reason why he's over right now is because of Enzo Amore. You take Enzo Amore away from Big Cass, and he's nothing. I mean, seriously, he's nothing. And that's not a good thing, buddy. Especially for a guy who's as big as you are. He's almost 7 feet tall, and he has the long hair, and, the fans want to get behind him, but it's more because of what we hope he will turn into someday. But, Big Cass, you're in there with a veteran like Bubba Ray Dudley, who was basically bumping himself around all over the place. And at one point, you did a big splash where you almost jumped over him, which was actually pretty impressive that a big guy like you can jump that high. But it was a botch. I know it was a botch. Now, if you can do that over again without jumping as high, maybe jump about a couple inches shorter, that might be a pretty solid big splash. But anyway, Enzo Amore is the one who people really care about. Maybe he could be your manager and you can come out and be the badass, or you can be his bodyguard, and you guys can trade off back and forth in that manner. Fine. But you're going to have to develop your character a little bit more, Big Cass, because I'm telling you, bro, for what you're being given, you're really not doing enough with it. Okay? And I spoke to Dave Meltzer on Twitter about this, and Meltzer said just give him time, and he needs some space to develop and all that good stuff, and that's fine. But, at the same time, dude, you're on Monday Night Raw. Okay? If you want to sit there and develop, do that crap on NXT. All right? This is Raw, dude. And let me tell you something. Enzo Amore, he's got it. He's got it down pat. He's solid, okay? So for two guys who started at the same time and who basically have come up the same way, actually not even started at the same time. Big Cass has been around longer than Enzo. Now that I think about it, he's been in the system longer than Enzo. So for you to be below Enzo in terms of your development, that's just pretty sad. Get together. Pardon my French. Big Cass beats Bubba Ray, so what? Let's take a quick break here, folks. We're back. I had to take a quick break because I had to prepare myself for what we're going to talk about here. And I'm going to get real serious. We had a segment with Charlotte and her father, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Dana Brooke was out there as well. She's a waste of time right now. Hey, Dana, I'm glad you're not flipping to the ring like I told you to stop doing. That's great. But you just look ridiculous with the other things that you do now. Stand there and smile at Charlotte if you're going to be backing her up. stand there and smile at her and just clap your hands. You did that a couple times, but then you try to do a bunch of other crap. Just clap your hands and smile and then look tough. That's all you got to do. All this extra stuff, you end up making yourself look ridiculous. All right, Dana Brooke, and I'm not going to waste more time talking about you. Hey, actually I am. You have potential, so don't get me wrong. I respect what you've done in the bodybuilding and all that stuff, but you got to calm down. All right, moving on. Charlotte and Ric Flair spoke with each other, and to make a long story short, Charlotte fired Ric Flair from being her manager. Folks, she fired her dad. Can you believe that?
That's wrong.
She said a lot of mean and disgusting things to Ric Flair. Talked about how when he was wrestling all over the world and she wouldn't see him on holidays, and et cetera, and he never did anything for her, and she did it all herself. Oh, he never did anything for you. All he did was give you life. All he did was put you in a position where you're the women's champion. That's all Ric Flair did for you. That's all. Okay? And then she had the audacity to say to Ric Flair, get out of my ring. Excuse me, Charlotte? Your ring? You're going to tell a two-time WWE Hall of Famer? You're going to tell the 16-time World Heavyweight Champion? You're going to tell him to get out of your ring? Listen, you are a spoiled, ungrateful brat, Charlotte. Okay? That's just the way it is. The way that you treated Ric Flair, your father.
I love Daddy.
Was just embarrassing. Okay? And I hope and I pray that he comes back with somebody to take that belt away from you, because that's what you deserve. You need to be taught a lesson, Charlotte, okay? I'm serious. And you know, I'm not going to waste my time about Dana Brooke. Ric Flair, hey, chin up, brother. It'll get better. You know, it really just broke my heart to see that. I mean, fans all over the world, they were all over online. They're blowing me up, telling me how shocked they were and how uncomfortable they were with the whole thing, because you know, it's Ric Flair. For anybody to treat Ric Flair that way is just, you know, unacceptable.
I love Daddy.
Ric Flair is an institution. Ric Flair he's the man. He's Ric Flair. So for Charlotte to do what she did to him, I got to move on, because I don't want to start getting emotional and crying here. But I got to move on to this piece of garbage, Dean Ambrose. He beat Dolph Ziggler in a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank. Listen, Dean Ambrose, you are a one-trick pony. You're a glorified stuntman. All you know how to do is that extreme wrestling garbage, and watching you out there is literally painful to watch, because it's like, this guy, he doesn't know how to do anything except this crap, okay? He was put in a situation with Dolph Ziggler where he had to actually wrestle, and he was in there with somebody who knows how to wrestle. I mean, hey, Dolph Ziggler was a collegiate wrestler at Keystone State, okay? Dolph Ziggler is no joke. Dolph Ziggler knows what he's doing in that ring. So for a couple of minutes there, he was rolling around with Ambrose and just making him look silly. And then, of course, Ambrose has to start doing his extreme crap and jumping out the ring and trying to brawl and do all. Look, Dean, I don't know why they have you. You're really a danger to yourself and everybody on the roster. And I just, you know, whatever. Let's move on. The final qualifying match of the evening was AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens. And folks, as you can imagine, this one looked great on paper, and it was even better in the ring. I mean, back and forth action, great spots. Kevin Owens doing his comedy shtick. AJ Styles, he's one of the top 3 wrestlers in the world, so you already know what you're going to get anytime you see him in the ring. The finish saw Kevin Owens defeating AJ Styles clean, by the way. So, you know, great win for Kevin Owens. And, you know, I don't feel that it really hurts AJ to lose that match. It was what it was. I'll say this, though. Before the match, AJ Styles let Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson know that they can go their separate way. He goes his separate way, and they can still be friends, but he doesn't want to have anything to do with them beyond their friendship outside of the WWE. So basically, he left the club. Listen, AJ, are you crazy? You're going to tell Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson that you don't need them? Talk about another ungrateful piece of work here. When people like Roman Reigns and the Usos or the Wyatts or, you know, some of these other groups start beating up on your weird hair-looking self. Well, I don't know what's going on with your hairdo, AJ, seriously. But when you start getting busted up out there, pal, you could have had the club watching your back, but instead you told them that you don't need them. Well, guess what? We're going to see how much you don't need them, okay? We're going to see what happens when you sit there and you push your friends away, all right? You're going to regret it, AJ. Mark my words, you're going to regret it. And that was it for this edition of Monday Night Raw, folks. And, overall, it was a pretty good show on the heels of the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, which was a fantastic show. So, hey, we'll see what happens on SmackDown later on this week, Thursday. We'll be back after this brief timeout. As I said before, folks, we have experienced a lot of fantastic growth in the past coming weeks here. More importantly, when you check out the social media, so I'm talking about Facebook.com/Duke Loves Wrestling. I'm talking about Medium.com/Duke Loves Wrestling. YouTube, you do a search for Duke Loves Wrestling. Twitter is actually D Loves Wrestling, but I think if you do a search for Duke Loves Wrestling, I pop up. On all of these social media outlets, we are experiencing tremendous responses from folks from all over the world, from England to various parts of Africa and China, the United States, Latin America, you name it. Everyone is talking about Duke Loves Wrestling. I saw a statistic where it said that on Facebook alone, we experienced over 7,000% growth in 1 week. Are you kidding me? 7,000%. That means whatever we had as far as interaction on our Facebook account, it jumped 7,000% in less than a week. Okay, that's Duke Loves Wrestling. That's Facebook.com/Duke Loves Wrestling. All right, and that's all because of you. You folks are spreading the word about the podcast. You're spreading the word about the other social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Medium, which is where I blog. I also have a blogger account, blogger.com. So folks have trouble. I know some of our folks over in various parts of Asia said that they experienced some trouble pulling up medium.com out there. So I created a blogger account where my blogs will be, anything I write will be on that site as well, at Duke Loves Wrestling. But all of it is just, it keeps getting the hits, keeps getting shared. And I thank you. Continue to do that. You can find me on Twitter and on Facebook where you can send me questions and comments, and we'll continue to do what you asked us to do, which is deliver the best wrestling analysis in the universe. Okay? That's all I'm here for, other than to help others, and that's what I'm doing, actually. I'm helping others by giving you the best analysis possible. You got that right. So, continue to subscribe, please, and thank you. Just a quick update, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, it happened this past weekend. Folks like Leilani Kai, the Blackjacks, Mean Gene Okerlund, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, they all went into the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. So congratulations to all the recipients. This is a fantastic thing. As I've been telling you before, folks, we really want to support our pro wrestling veterans and all that they do. You can head over to www.pwhf.org. That's pwhf.org, Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. For further information, it is a standalone place, so you can actually visit it in Wichita Falls, Texas. So check them out, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Just lastly, I just want to shout out Middle Kingdom Wrestling. We did a spotlight write-up on them that is on medium.com, and that got tremendous reviews, shared all over the place. It's funny, though, the wrestler Big Sam, his manager, Stu, running his mouth online about Duke Loves Wrestling. And I just want to let Stu know, you bloody wanker. I'm not impressed nor afraid of you. The reason why Big Sam lost the big triple threat match that happened in Shanghai was because you had handcuffs that somehow magically found their way into the hands of Dalton Bragg. And Dalton Bragg was able to retain his MKW championship as a result of that. So, Stu, if you would focus on becoming a better manager and spend less time talking nonsense on YouTube, talking nonsense on Twitter, then maybe you would be in a much better position where I wouldn't have to point out your mistakes, okay? So, look, Royal Stu is what they call him, folks. Stu, get your act together, okay? No one is impressed with you. In fact, folks, if you want to let this joke know something, head over to twitter.com and type in DASROYALRAMBLE. That's Das Royal Ramble, okay? That's what Royal Stu's little tagline is. Let him know, don't talk to Duke Loves Wrestling any old way that he wants, because he's a loudmouth, bloody wanker, and we're not going to put up with it, okay? That's a fact, Jack. That's the facts, Jack, okay? And that's all for now, folks. Once again, thank you all for your support. Keep spreading the word about Duke Loves Wrestling. We have a packed schedule as far as the week New content comes out every single day by 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every single day of the week, 7 days. Okay? Monday, we had the big event roundup where we covered the pay-per-view. We'll continue to do that. Tuesday, we put out the Rundown podcast, which you're listening to right now at this moment. Wednesday, I do a classic match of the week on Medium.com where I talk about a match in history that was fantastic. So you got to check it out. I even give you the link to the match so you can see it for yourself. Thursday is the Around the World podcast where I talk about a wrestling promotion and wrestlers from a different part of the world. Last week, we did Middle Kingdom Wrestling China. We'll see what happens this week. Fridays, I do the match of the week, which is a current match that folks have been talking about, voted on by you, the fans. You can send me a message on Twitter or Facebook. Let me know what match of the week was the best match, and I'll review it. I'll talk about it, and I'll send out a link for it. Saturday is the mailbag, where I answer up to 12 questions. Any questions pro wrestling related. And once again, send me a message on Twitter or Facebook. Any questions there, and wrestling related, though, and I'll answer those questions. And Sunday is the Spotlight On, it's the blogging series where I cover someone, whether it be a fan or a wrestler, or as last week I did Middle Kingdom Wrestling, so it was a wrestling promotion, where I cover them and talk about different things that you may not have known. It's really a cool series, getting a lot of traction, a lot of support, so I'm going to keep that going. All right, every day of the week, no days off. Duke loves wrestling. Listen, Darren Young, I know you call yourself Mr. No Days Off, but I'm the real Mr. No Days Off. I'm Duke. I love wrestling.
I got mushrooms.
That's right. Okay, folks, be kind to yourselves, but hey, we're here to help others, so help somebody else out there. This is your favorite pro wrestling analyst, Duke Loves Wrestling, signing off saying bye-bye, everybody.